What is going on? Welcome back to Jiu-Jitsu Outlet. I'm sitting down with a brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu, Victoria Brown. What is up?
Hey,
Thanks for coming on the show.
thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Anytime. I know you're all set to go compete down in Austin, and I really appreciate you taking some time to come on the show with us. I've been following you on social media now for a couple months, and you're actually local here to where I live. We've got to meet up and train sometime,
Yeah, that'd be
and
awesome.
get a roll in or two. So I wanted to start off this conversation by asking you the same question that we start off every episode with, which is, what has training in jiu-jitsu done for your mental health since you started training?
It's done quite a bit. So I was a wrestler in high school, so I have some grappling experience from wrestling. I was in the army, so I did combatives, but nothing to this extent. And then when I joined Parabellum Martial Arts and Strength, it was then CX BJJ or CX MMA here in Waynesville, Missouri, back in 2016. I started with just strength and conditioning. I had a lot going on in my life. My middle daughter was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. My mom passed away. I had a third daughter. I just was in like a really deep, dark place in my life. So I started working out with them. And then I started taking private lessons with my head strength and conditioning coach, who's also the owner, Todd Angel. He worked really hard to get me back on the mats, especially as a wrestler. He's a fellow wrestler. And he just knew that it would be kind of an outlet for me to get past some aggression and kind of work through some things I had going on mentally. So I started jujitsu private lessons with him in April of that year, and then he kind of talked me into competing and gave me the confidence and courage to join the adult class. And it's really helped me get a better mindset. It's helped me work through things, especially when I'm having a tough day or I'm dealing with something that I don't really have control over. You don't have control over the other person in jujitsu a lot of the time, so it's kind of a way that I can just get it all out on the mat. I get to express myself in a way that some people might not think is super cool, but they're wrong. I have so much to say. I get to express myself in one of the only ways I know how. I can lift weights, but that's an individual thing all day long. I'm not competing next to the person next to me on the mat. I have a whole nother body working against me, and I get to express my art and things that I enjoy doing. How I want to, even if it doesn't always seem like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does. And it's interesting how jiu-jitsu and the martial arts, it gives us this outlet to express these characteristics of ourselves that would otherwise be completely negative. Like, if you think about it, in a normal day-to-day encounter, like, you don't want to be known as a sneaky person,
Yeah,
for example, or a difficult person, right? Like, if I say like, oh, Victoria's difficult, like, that's a bad thing.
yeah,
But in the context of a jiu-jitsu setting, I say, wow, she's really difficult. Like, she's really giving me problems. Like, that's a compliment
yeah,
that you hear a lot on the mats, is so and so is becoming a real problem. And
yeah.
like,
Well, it's the same thing.
the other day or yesterday, we were talking. Go ahead. Go
Oh, no,
ahead.
no, go ahead, finish.
At training yesterday, we were talking about one of the up and coming blue belts, and we were talking about, like, man, so and so's becoming a real problem in here. And like, you mean that in a positive way in jiu-jitsu, but anywhere else in life, if you hear that, that's like, you don't want to be a
Oh,
problem,
yeah,
right?
100%. And at first, too, when you first start out and you're a white belt, you have no clue what they're talking about. And they're like, what do you mean I'm becoming a problem? Like, I thought I was a part of the team. And then they're like, they have to explain it to you because jujitsu has this whole weird, crazy culture that you don't truly understand until you're super engulfed in it. I think that's why, like, some outsiders, they look at it. I mean, how many people do you know like think it's fun to choke their friends out or to beat them up? Like, there's not a lot of people, and I think oftentimes it's misconstrued that you got to be some kind of crazy. It's not that you have to be crazy. It's in a controlled environment. It's a way for you to express yourself as well as the others to express themselves. And it's one, physically demanding, right? So we have a huge problem in our society with obesity. I will tell you, when I started jujitsu, I was over 200 pounds. I currently, although I think women's standards in jiu-jitsu are a little crazy. Heavyweight is 175 pounds. I compete at heavyweight mostly because I'm too lazy to lose the weight of the gi. But it's great, like the same thing, like we talk about things you don't want to be for women, like mentally, right? For someone to be like, dang, you feel like a 200-pound man. Like, no woman wants to hear that. But if you're in jujitsu, like for me, that's all I care. Like, they're like, dang, Tori, your pressure is like a 200-pound man. And I'm like, heck yeah, it is. So it's jujitsu is crazy. Like, there's just so many, it defies so many things. Like, things you can do in jujitsu or things you can say or feel in jujitsu is completely different. I work as a strength and conditioning coach too. And when people are like, okay, well, how do I fix my workouts and my jujitsu? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. Jujitsu is going to work muscles that you didn't even know you had. Like, it's just different. They're not the same. You can't use jujitsu as your primary workout. You got to put some resistance training in it also. Mental health wise too. I also feel that strength training is super important for mental health. It teaches you to fail in the weight room so that when you get out there onto the mat, right? Like, you're not scared to fail. You're okay to try. You're not, this time it's a different kind of fail. You're failing against another person. We're in the weight room, you're failing that weight, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I'd love to dive into that just a little bit more for a second. Could we do like a little comparison of the two? Like, could we maybe like what does strength training and jujitsu have in common? And then where are they like completely different? I'd be curious to
Yeah.
hear your answer.
Well, I mean, strength training, right? Obviously, and jujitsu, it's an awesome way to get physically fit. If you do an hour of jujitsu, you're going to be exhausted depending on what it is you're doing between rolls, instruction, a hard drilling session, right? The same thing with a good strength and conditioning session. Like, you're going to get you're going to get the same things out of it. Um, Confidence, right? I think strength training is going to give you confidence. Jiu-jitsu, right, can give you confidence, whether it's, hey, I'm doing this for self-defense, so I want to feel confident in my ability to protect myself or my loved ones out on the street, or maybe you are that competitor that wants to go out there and compete. The strength training is what's going to give you the confidence in the weight room, and it's also going to give you those skills that translate on the mat, right? You use those same positions, you get yourself in the same positions in the weight room with some resistance, and it'll translate on the mat. Things that you can't translate, obviously, is having to physically go against another human being. Yes, you're going against weight, but we know what that is. That's a known thing. What you don't know is the amount of pressure somebody can provide, the somebody else's training. You don't know the moves that they're going to do. In the weight room, I know what a squat is. I know what a bench press is. So those are things that I would say are different, but I think they complement each other, and the jujitsu world is now getting on board with that. You have, Victor Hugo trains with the John Wellborn, who my gym is associated with. We're power athlete coaches and power members of the power athlete community. So Victor Hugo, if you don't know who he is, if you're listening to this, he just won a world championship as a black belt along with the open class, and he won Brazil's. He's getting ready to fight for the Grand Prix or something like that. Freaking an amazing athlete. You also have Maggie Grandotti, who now runs a strength and conditioning gym, and all of her stuff is focused towards athletes, like jiu-jitsu athletes. She also does rugby, which is another very physical sport. And that's what our gym offers. Like, that's what I love about our gym. We have our martial arts upstairs, and then you come downstairs and you can get your dose of strength and conditioning. And everything that we do is to make you a better athlete on the mat, on the field, whatever it is your sport is.
I love that. I love that holistic approach, and I feel like you made me want to go out and train with you guys again. I didn't realize that that you used to be CXMMA, that Parabellum used to be CXMMA,
Yeah.
because I used to train there back when I was at Fort Leonard Wood in the
Oh,
Army
okay.
a long time ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so Enrique, actually, I've Enrique
But
Watson, who, Enrique.
yeah,
Yeah, so he actually so Todd Angel, who was my first jujitsu coach and the first person who introduced me into jujitsu, he bought the gym from Enrique, I think in 2015. A couple of my buddies that I was drill sergeants with never told me that they were
yeah.
going there to do jujitsu. And had I known, like, I feel like I would have got into it a lot sooner. But I'm super grateful for the journey that I've had, and super blessed with all the highs and lows. I mean, I will tell you, it's been a crazy ride. I've struggled mentally a lot with some things. Right after I started jujitsu, I'll say probably like 6 months in, I tore my meniscus in a freak accident. And then it took me another 6 months to get it fixed. I still don't have full mobility of my knee, which injuries come. It's a struggle for me some days. But I have amazing training partners. I have the gym that I go to. It's a community. It's not just, hey, come in and train and we'll forget about you. Like it's truly a community. Everybody checks on everybody. I have amazing training partners. Again, they even when I'm struggling, I am a very A-type personality. I am also like if you follow Enneagrams, I'm an Enneagram 3, so I'm an achiever. I put a ton of things on my plate. I don't know how to say no. And some days I struggle, and it can really wear me down. Uh, but I'm blessed with some people. We have a huge women's community, which I can't tell you how important that is in jiu-jitsu. That they come and check on me. My friend Seti the other day noticed, like I was at lunch rolls and she was like, dang girl, you just aren't yourself. And I was like, man, I got like 40 different things to do. We're getting ready to leave for nationals. I got to make sure I got all this stuff done. And she was like, hey, what can I take off your plate? I have Jacob Sherrill. He was going to be on your event that you just had, but unfortunately had to pull out. He's one of my main training partners. Again, him and his family always checking on my husband and I and my kids, taking care of us. And I think that's what jujitsu is about, right? Like it doesn't just help you mentally with being able to do things on the mat, but it gives you a community of people who are like-minded or come from different backgrounds that also want to help you also. And it's not just getting better on the mat, but bringing you into that family and making you a better person overall.
I want to ask you a little bit more about something that you said. So I feel like this is super important. Something that you touched on is developing a good community for women at your academy. So, for example, I just opened our first Jiu-Jitsu Outlet Academy. It's actually right
Oh,
here behind
nice.
me. And so we're in Houston, Missouri. And we have had a lot of women sign up. In fact, it's almost like 50-50,
Heck
I would
yeah.
say. And that's been really good. And what would you say to someone like me who's maybe just getting started and wants to have a good women's community? I guess something I'm torn on is like, should I add a women's night or should I make it just integrated? Because I mean, it is already kind of mixed. Like we've had women at every single class. So like, do you still think it's important to have that like women only
So
time?
I will tell you, our gym, our women's program, when I started jujitsu was me and one other girl. Her and I traveled together. Her name was Stormy, awesome competitor. She ended up moving. So for a while, it was me and a couple other women that kind of came and went. And we started a women's after I got promoted to blue belt and I healed from my knee injury. I started to compete very routinely again at IBJJF and get my name out there. My gym was fortunate enough to give me the opportunity to lead a women's only class, which went really well up until COVID happened. We kind of had to put a pause on it once COVID happened. And then we started it again, and it was really well. Right now, our schedule just doesn't permit a women's only class. I will tell you, though, that it was instrumental in starting our women's program. We went from being either me and one or two other women on the mat at any given time to having 10 to 12 on the mat, even in regular classes. It kind of gave them that catalyst to get them going. It gave them a safe place to train. It gave them another woman, a few other women instructors or women colored belts to look up to. Not every woman wants to train because they want to be a competitor. Some are just training either for self-confidence or to be able to protect themselves. So I'm a huge proponent of women's only training, even if it's not like routine. Like maybe you host a women's night every other week, or maybe you host a women's night once a month. Um, but kind of just show them, hey, this is what's out there. These are some strong female role models in your community or in the area. The one gripe that I have about Missouri is that we just don't have enough women jujitsu artists. We don't have enough women who get past white belt or blue belt. I'm fortunate enough, there's a black belt at our gym. She PCS'd in thanks to the Army. She's like a 3 or 4 time world champion jiu-jitsu artist. She's freaking down to earth. She's super amazing. Um, we have a couple female purple belt. Ashley Roberts, she started with me, has kind of moved up the ranks. And then we have a ton of blue belts right now and a whole bunch of white belts. My coach calls them the Lioness Crew. But we've just kind of been building this jujitsu community. We do self-defense seminars where we get women through the door, and it's based on jujitsu. It's not, we're not coming up with anything. We're not recreating the wheel or showing something fancy that we saw on YouTube. We're showing them how jujitsu can help them defend themselves. And that honestly like helps also get women through our door. I think it's awesome that you started a gym. I love that it's 50-50 right now. I'd love to come out there sometime and train or do something to help you with your women's program. That's the best thing I think we can do for Missouri. You saw my Facebook post. I went all the way to St. Louis, which is a 2-hour drive for us, to compete, and there's nobody in my weight bracket. There's only 2 brown belts, complete Master 1, so 30 to 35-year-old brown belts that signed up at all. And it just sucks because I'm going to Austin this weekend. Again, there's only 1 brown belt in my bracket. Hopefully I have the potential to have 16 in the open. But it sucks having to travel sometimes. I would love to create like a sisterhood or like a community of female jiu-jitsu artists in the state of Missouri. I think a lot of time with women, it can be catty. But I want to show that it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to compete with the girl next to you. It's you versus you, and everybody is there just to help you.
That's beautifully said. And I really appreciate what you're doing too to help. And we should definitely talk offline about you coming out sometime. That'd be great. But I feel like it all goes back to what you hit on with just trying to get them to stick past, white belt. And what would you say is like one of the biggest reasons why women quit in the beginning when they're training? I'd be curious to hear what you say, because I feel like if we can solve that, we can fix a lot of this issue.
I think there's it's honestly like a multitude of issues. It depends on the woman. I've seen women who've quit because their significant other doesn't feel confident in them or doesn't appreciate them rolling with the other sex. And I think that's crazy. I luckily have a super supportive spouse. He's a white belt, just got him into jiu-jitsu a year ago. So he's been super supportive. Some of it is confidence. Some of it is they have a bad experience. Maybe they roll with that brand new male white belt who doesn't understand that you don't have to go world speed. But I think honestly, like our gym, not to say that we're perfect, in my mind we are, but we have like really honed in. We do a beginner's class. All of our white belts are paired up with a colored belt. And I think that really helps keep women in our program, letting women know, hey, if you don't feel comfortable training with somebody, you don't have to. And just kind of like really being open and honest with them, I think will help keep them. We've had, I would say we have more that stay than don't at this point. I think right now we probably have 25 to 30 women. And we usually have like close to 20 on the mat every Monday, Wednesday, sometimes Friday. We have 3 black belts. We have 2 male, 1 female, but they create an environment. Like the environment is, hey, everybody's welcome, no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, no matter what you believe in, you're welcome. If you don't like somebody or you don't feel comfortable training with somebody, we're not here to force you to do that. We want to give you a safe environment. If you have a trigger, you don't have to tell us, just walk off the mat. We have a couple women who for them, they have asthma and choking is not something that they're there for yet. Like they just struggle with it. So if we're doing something that requires them to be choked, we know hey, they're not ready for that. So they either sit and watch, we put them in a group of 3 so they can still drill it, but they don't necessarily get it drilled on them. We have some women, there's a girl that came to our gym. She started in the women's only program, and it was because she had something happen with a male, and she was scared and she needed to know that she could protect herself. And since then, she has thrived in our program. She's now in the everyday class. She takes multiple different disciplines in our gym. And you could just see the difference in her confidence.
That's amazing. I got to get over there and train with you guys.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a really good squad.
We do.
That's awesome. So I wanted to ask you one more question. How has martial arts training and strength training too, I guess your training in general, what has this done for your life off the mats? Can you talk about how has this impacted your relationships or your career or just other areas of your life off the mats?
It's definitely given me a lot more confidence. Like I said before, in 2015, my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. My mom passed away shortly after that happened. I decided to get out of the military. I had a third daughter. Um, my life kind of just catapulted into this really dark place for a long time. I've always had like a really bubbly, outgoing personality, but I just wasn't me. So even just starting with the strength training really like gave me back. I met my now husband, which was totally something that would have been out of my comfort zone prior to. I met him. It gave me, you know, he would be able to speak to like the confidence, the change in who I am just since starting jujitsu. It's made my life so much better. I now, you know, I used to work on post with the engineers for a while once I got out. I worked at the school for a while as a strength and conditioning coach and as a co-head women's wrestling coach, which was a super cool experience. But it has now given me the opportunity to really do what I love, which is coach strength and conditioning and do jujitsu and compete in jujitsu full time. My relationship with my kids are better. I have them in jujitsu, taekwondo, wrestling, strength training, you name it. My kids are in it, and it's made them better people as well. It gives them confidence. There's just so much. Like I can't tell you. Like I'm a different person. I really am. Like if you would have met me back in 2015, I was an empty shell of a person compared to the woman I am today.
That's powerful. I can hear it in your voice just as you're talking about it. I got time for one more
Okay.
question if you do, but
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about your kids. So, what has it been like
Hold
as
on.
you've
You're breaking
watched
up.
them grow? Like since you put them in martial arts and you got them spending more time on their own health, what did that do for them and their relationship with themselves?
I missed that. Do you say that one more time?
I think it cut
Yeah.
out. But your kids, what has it done for them? Like since you put them in martial arts and got them training as well, what have you seen happen to them and as they've grown?
Wow. Honestly, so my oldest started in jujitsu. I think she's a yellow belt now, maybe a yellow white belt. Definitely like again, confidence. Huge for me, jujitsu and for her too, huge confidence. She was kind of like a little chubby little girl. She's 13 now. She's kind of growing into who she is. Super confident on the mat. Our gym has given her the opportunity to kind of be in a little bit of a leadership role, so it's helped her develop, you know, leadership qualities and the ability to help others. She helps out with the kids class. She takes the adult class. Again, like we have that super supportive women's network at our gym, so everybody kind of takes her under their wing. They've taught her so many things. My middle daughter, I've talked about before, she's just a fighter. She's been fighting since she was 3 years old, having cancer and whatnot. She does taekwondo and wrestling. Sometimes she does jujitsu, but taekwondo definitely has her heart. It is just, again, overwhelmingly helped her with her confidence, but it also helps her stay physically fit and I think keep her mind mentally strong. It's hard to be under the lights. It's hard to be to go against another human being. And all of them, you know, they rise to the occasion. Sometimes they don't, but mentally, like it makes them stronger and it allows them to realize, like, hey, this is what I'm capable of. Martial arts gives them somebody to look up to. It gives them something to look up to. It's never ending, so they're always going to be lifetime learners. So it's always working their mind and making them better people.
Well, Victoria, that's amazing. I feel like it helps kids. It helps kids a lot with their
Yeah.
confidence. You know, it's the biggest thing that I've seen. Like with my stepson, put him in jujitsu. He just went from being a super introverted kid who would never talk to anyone to becoming, kind of more the life of the party
Yeah.
a lot of times, and just a lot of confidence. You know what I see, and man, I'm really glad that you did that. That you put them in and that you made them do it.
Yeah.
Powerful.
It's honestly like,
But now they're into
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they're just better kids, you know. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie too, it helps that it's exhausting some days. So they come home and they're tired.
I think that that's good
Y-
though. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to be moving and doing stuff. We're not supposed to be sitting on the couch burning 0
Yeah.
calories and whatnot. But Victoria, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Before we wrap this up, if there's anyone that wants to come train with you, or, where can they come and where can they learn about what you're doing?
So I train at Parabellum Martial Arts and Strength. It's in off Route 66 in Waynesville, Missouri. We have class Monday and Wednesday. 6:10 starts our beginners class. It goes for about an hour, and then at 7:10 we have an advanced class, and again it goes for about an hour, and then we do some rolls afterwards. Friday is no-gi. We do it at 6:10 to 7:10 with again some rolls afterwards. Saturday we have what we call feet to floor. It's a mix of judo, sambo, and some jiu-jitsu, and that starts at 9:30. So anybody's more than welcome to come out and train with us. Honestly, we have some of the best instructors there are.
I got to get back out there. You've made me want to make the trip. I'm only about an hour away.
Yeah.
So it's not that far. I don't think I have much excuse.
Yeah, come out sometime when you don't have class going on at your guys' location.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Victoria. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And hey, if you're listening to this and you're in the local area and you want to go train, I'll put all the links down below.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. You have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
You too.
Yeah, of course.